Precisely. That's the Nothing Personal Word of the Day. It is Friday, June 6th, 2025, the first Friday of our new 2-hour show. You've been with us all week. Thank you. It is 7 a.m. if you're on the Eastern time zone. If you're in LA, 4 o'clock morning. If you're watching on DraftKings Network, it may be 8 o'clock in the morning. Either way, we've had one great week, and we've got a way to end it for you. It's a chef's kiss of beauty. For those of you who have been around since the beginning, you will be happy that it is episode 1292, and you will hear from Mr. Coca. If you're new to the show, you may think Coca is some phantom of my imagination, somebody I've completely made up to speak to because otherwise you're speaking to yourself completely and you go a little crazy. Well, in the second hour of the show today and every Friday, for the immediate future, you will see and hear from the real Matthew Coca. That is precisely what we wanted when we went to 2 hours, but that's not why it's the word of the day today. Precisely is the word of the day because it's exactly what nobody figured would happen in Game 1 of the NBA Finals last night. And it's precisely what keeps happening in this year's finals when Indiana comes back from a late game deficit and wins a game on a shot by Tyrese Haliburton. So I'm not sure I understand all of the narrative that people will say, oh man, didn't see this coming. We had the Thunder winning by at least 9.5 points last night. They were going to blow the Pacers out of the water. The Pacers were the little brothers to the Thunder, trying to be what the Thunder could be. What a nice accomplishment winning the Eastern Conference. But now it's time to meet their maker. And the game starts, and I'm thinking to myself, why did I take the Pacers again in the Nothing Personal Pick of the Day? Which, spoiler alert, later in the show I did, which you remember from yesterday. But I was thinking early on, really questioning my sanity, knowing that everybody was saying, Thunder, Thunder, Thunder. And I kept saying, Marcia, Marcia, Marcia. But then the Thunder would have a lead, and Indiana was turning the ball over in a way that made me insane. This didn't look like a finals game to me. This looked like a preseason game. The Pacers were turning the ball over. The Thunder could not hit a shot. And the game just goes on, and the Thunder have got a 10-point lead, 6-point lead, 10-point lead, 6-point lead, 12-point lead, 8-point lead. Back and forth, just sort of nothing. Amazed at how sloppy it was. As a matter of fact, in the first half, the Pacers had 19 turnovers. Unheard of. Unacceptable. Now you've got nerves, but Oklahoma City should have nerves also. Oklahoma City only had 4 turnovers. They were playing their characteristic defense where when you're the Thunder, you're everywhere. I don't know about those of you who watched the game. I thought at one point the Pacers were playing with 5 guys and the Thunder were playing with 10 because it just seemed that they had a hand on the ball. There was never swinging the ball to an open man who would be wide open. Of course, that's redundant. 4, 8, 6, 9. The Thunder would swing the ball and they would get shots off and miss it with open shots. It feels like the Pacers, when they were swinging the ball, they were not getting those open shots, which led me to question whether the Thunder had more players on the court. So the game goes on, halftime, big lead in the fourth quarter, and I said to myself watching the game, from the comfort of my own betting, I said, here's what's interesting about this. I don't think the Pacers can do what they did. We could get a back door. That's where my head was on the 9.5 point spread. We could get a back door here, but there's no way. We're not dealing with the Bucks. We're not dealing with the Cavs. We're not dealing with the Knicks. This is the Thunder. And then the Pacers did to the Thunder exactly what they did to every opponent they've played this entire playoffs. They came back with a 12-2 run to end the game and won it because Haliburton hit a shot after the Thunder missed a shot. And then the Pacers are down 1. Everyone else calls a timeout, not Rick Carlisle. Get up the court. Either you're going to win the game or lose the game. Haliburton swish. Pacers win 111-110. I sat there thinking to myself, am I watching something that you don't often see? Am I watching a team who is so heavily favored, not the biggest favorite, but certainly in the top 10 of all time NBA Finals favorites? Am I watching something happen that is extraordinary? And then, Coca, my brain went somewhere else totally crazy. I don't know about your algorithms or my algorithms or how things work with what we see. I happen to see on a either TikTok or somewhere on social media some guy who has the most insane wager. And again, Coca, I don't know if these are real or not real, but someone bet $13 and could win 300 grand by picking the champion in every sport. And all they have left are the Oilers and the Thunder. They nailed the Eagles and they nailed the Dodgers and the Liberty and whatever else they nailed. And I was thinking, wow, you got the Oilers who won game one at home, but the Thunder, that's a mortal lock. So why hedge? And there was like a cash out at 100 grand or something crazy. So the first thing I thought of when the Haliburton shot went in is what happened to the cash out now number. It's like, who wants to, let's make a deal where the banker changes the number according to which suitcases you open. If you know, you know. And so it's part of gambling. It's part of business. It's part of everything. Is it sustainable what the Pacers did? And then you dig a little deeper into this game. The Pacers shot 47.6% from the field. The Thunder shot 39.8%. That means the Pacers outshot them. If you outshoot your opponent, you're generally going to win, but you got to check 3-point percentage before you say that for certain. Okay. Pacers 18 of 39 shot 46% from three. They've been the best 3-point shooting team in the playoffs. Hard stop. Done. The Thunder shot 11 for 30. A Celtics like 11 for 30. That's only 36% from three. So let me get this straight. The Pacers completely outshot the Thunder, which doesn't seem abnormal. The reason why the game was such that the Pacers' only lead was the final score is that the Pacers had this huge number of turnovers, which would account for Oklahoma City taking 16 more shots than the Pacers took. Raise your hand if you believe that the Thunder's shots last night and the missed shots they had was solely a result of Pacers defense. Or would you argue that they just had one of those games where no one other than SGA was able to, and by the way, SGA, he was at one point 12 for 26. I think he ended up 15 for 30 by hitting 3 of his last 4. But not exactly the greatest game from SGA, still scoring 38 points, which is remarkable. They couldn't get to the line at the end of the game. They weren't being aggressive driving to the hole. So many weird things happened that I find it difficult to comprehend that there'll be another game like it. So, as I'm going through my head, analyzing the NBA Finals, thinking about the psychology inside the clubhouse, the Oklahoma City Thunder are saying, hey, the Nuggets beat us in game one. And you know what? We won that series in 7. We came out and won game 2 by about 69 points. The Pacers are saying winning game 1 on the road, that's sweet, but we got to take game 2. Because winning game 1 alone, yeah, it's nice we got the split that we came for, but we know what the Thunder do, and we know what the Thunder do on the road. We got to come out and win game 2, which makes game 2 a must-win for both teams, which is super cool to get that so early in the series. I don't know. I just don't see a possibility of the same type of game happening in game 2. But we'll see what the pick is later in the show. 2034. It's a funny number. Hold on, let me do some math. We're in the year 2025. 2034 is 9 years from now. I will be 66 years old. Oh, that is 1/6 away from my sweet spot. I wonder where I'll be. My guess is I'll be in this chair with a 40-year-old Coca. I'm just kidding, Coca. No, I'm not actually. We'll be in this chair doing this show for you, loving life, doing like our 3,000th episode, being celebrated as though our names were Tony and Reali. 2034 is the year. This was announced yesterday. I'm not kidding. This is a real announcement. The Chicago White Sox announced that Jerry Reinsdorf is selling the team to Justin Ishbia no later than 2034. Hold on. I'm not laughing. I want to do that in a better way. This is serious. Talking about somebody who's 89 years old, who's owned the team since the 80s. This is way more serious. This is a monumental moment. Jerry Reinsdorf, the man with a ring on all of his fingers on his left hand and two of his fingers on his right hand, telling us it's time to sell the White Sox. After I've told you from the beginning that his estate plan was clear from the start, and he's been public about it, and all you have to do is read his threats. When you threaten to move the White Sox, when you say you need a new ballpark for the White Sox, and then you say if you don't get that new ballpark, who knows? I may have to sell, and if I have to sell to somebody, who knows what their loyalty is to Chi-Town. So we know that the Bulls are staying in the family, and Michael Reinsdorf, his son, will become the controlling owner, and we know as part of the estate plan, the White Sox will be sold. This is not an epiphany, normal estate planning, all good. Here's what we didn't know. We didn't know that Jerry Reinsdorf would find some guy, and Justin Ishbia is the perfect candidate. If you haven't listened to Pablo Torre Finds Out episode on Matt Ishbia and the Ishbia brothers and the business they do and what they do and how they do it, then you're missing out on something. Suffice it to say, when Ishbia goes before MLB to get approved, he's going to get approved. That said, Steve Cohen got approved. So what I'd like you to focus on is the structure of this deal. Because when Jerry Reinsdorf announced what happened, you would think that it got the attention of, oh, Jerry's selling the team. And fans would say, oh, thank God. We lost 121 games last year. We haven't won a World Series since 2005. We stink, we stink, we stink. We've got the greatest ownership family coming in. Look what they did for Phoenix, those brillantes. We're going to come in and sign somebody like Trout. They signed Durant. We're going to make a ton of trades, and we're going to be going for it. Oh, and then we're going to be the Padres and have to trade everyone away because we didn't get anywhere. I think that you are all in Chicago in for an unpleasant surprise in two regards. One, Jerry Reinsdorf's not going anywhere. On the unfortunate day when he passes away, that is when the team is going to go to Justin Ishbia. This is a pre-death change of control step transaction for estate planning deal. That's it. This is a deal that Jerry Reinsdorf was forced into doing for myriad financial issues because in the small print of the announcement was that Mr. Ishbia is making his first payment this coming year, 2025, to help cover some of the operating losses that everyone claims don't exist, and I told you do exist. And just because you have billions of dollars worth of teams doesn't mean you have billions of dollars worth of cash. You may live like you do because you've borrowed against assets that are clearly worth more than what you paid for them. But until you monetize those assets, you're simply borrowing money to live the life that you would live had you sold the assets, and you get to live without selling the assets. Until the day comes that the assets that you pledged are not worth what you thought, and then you're back to frontier, baby. So here's how it works. The agreement is that Justin Ishbia puts in money in 2025, 2026. He enters into a long-term agreement with Jerry Reinsdorf, and the agreement says, starting in 2029, 4 years from now, when Justin Ishbia will be on the other side of 50, Jerry Reinsdorf will have the sole option to sell controlling interest to Ishbia anytime between 2029 and 2033. That means Jerry Reinsdorf, who's 89 now, will be anywhere between 93 and 97. If he wakes up at 94 years old and says, my God, who needs this Surus? Who can stand these 90 to 100 lost seasons? I've had so many. It's called put the team to Justin Ishbia. The team during that period may not be called away from Jerry Reinsdorf. Justin Ishbia can't wake up in 2029 and say, I want to run the team now. You're out. He does not have that right. Jerry Reinsdorf has the right to call up Justin Ishbia and say, I don't want the team anymore. It's yours. Then when you get to 2034, when Jerry Reinsdorf will be 98 years old, 2 years shy of a century, the team goes to Justin. Here's how that works. If Justin in 2034 wakes up and Jerry is still alive and says, that price seems a little high that I agreed to. I really don't want the Chicago White Sox. Guess what the agreement says? Justin Ishbia has the right to not take the White Sox in 2034. But Reinsdorf doesn't have the right to block him if he wants them. And all of that only happens in 9 years when Jerry's 98. In the years preceding that, it's all Jerry's call. It's Jerry's world, and we're not talking Texas. Jerry gets to say, I'm out or I'm in, and there's not one thing Ishbia or the NBA can do about it. And so there's a lot of PR coming out of Reinsdorf. I'm going to start with his quote and what he said. He said, having the incredible opportunity to own the Chicago White Sox and be part of Major League Baseball for nearly 50 years has been a life-changing experience. I've always expressed my intent to operate the White Sox as long as I am able and remain committed to returning this franchise to the level of on-field success we all expect and desire. Boy, that's quite a nothing burger statement, isn't it? How many times has he given that statement when he's fired Ken Williams, when he fires managers, when he trades players, signs players? We always get the same thing. We want to return this franchise to the level of on-field success, copy-paste. Darn it, Coca, 4869. We want to return this franchise to the level of on-field success, copy-paste. We all expect and desire, copy-paste. Buried in that statement was the fact that he always expressed his intent to operate the White Sox as long as he's able, as long as he's got a heartbeat. Hold on. Can you fog up a mirror? Hell yeah. Let's sign some more players. Let's trade some more players and still be bad. Now, what happens if, God forbid, Jerry passes away before 2029? Not mentioned, but you can bet your sweet Bippy if that would happen, then Justin Ishbia would get that team. So, what does it actually mean? Does it mean that Jerry Reinsdorf will work with Justin Ishbia on who's going to be signed and traded before 2029 or before 2034? Does Justin Ishbia get a seat at the table at owners' meetings? So the way this really works is that you can bring a limited partner to an owners' meeting with permission from Rob Manfred. The limited partner cannot go into the small meeting where it's just one per club, the controlling owner. The limited partner can't raise his hand if he's sure about a vote or ask a question. Limited partner can come to a dinner, shake some hands, and that's about it. And that's if you're lucky and the general partner allows you to do it. The limited partner can't call the general partner and say, please sign John Cocktoaston. Nope, can't do it, no matter what your step transaction is. So the power of Justin Ishbia is not very great. People have said, well, that's because Jerry wants to be very involved in the new collective bargaining agreement negotiation. He wants to be very involved in who the next commissioner is going to be. Well, it may or may not be true that Rob Manfred's going to stop being commissioner for 2029. Maybe, maybe not. What I do know is the last time there was opening for commissioner, Jerry Reinsdorf did not get his way. He didn't want Rob Manfred as commissioner, and he fought it every step of the way, and we beat him. He lost. Shocked in Baltimore during the voting for a new commissioner that he did not win. I was sitting right 2 feet from him as we were voting and voting and voting. And you remember what happened, the final vote, when he was sure Rob would not get the votes. And I looked at him and winked and I said, you're going to lose this one. The Washington Nationals voted for Rob Manfred. It was done. He got the necessary votes. Reinsdorf was so angry. He barely has spoken to me since. Which, of course, has nothing to do with nothing personal, unless it does. So Jerry Reinsdorf hanging around because he wants to be involved and is going to be very influential in the next commissioner and in the next CBA, that's not it, folks, I promise you. What it is that Jerry Reinsdorf likes owning a team and operating a team, and good for him. I'm not a big fan of anybody retiring. What's the need to retire? As far as I'm concerned, you should continue to do what it is you love to do. He's earned that right, and he absolutely loves it. The other factor that you need to think about if you are listening to us, and yes, about 2% of you are, which is great. Maybe it's more. No, I think in the Phoenix area, as I recall. You know that we talked a little bit about the fact that the Ishbia family owns the Suns, and we know that Justin is part of the Suns. Now, do you think that Matt Ishbia will be involved in the White Sox? Or do you think that Matt Ishbia will just do the Suns and then Justin Ishbia will just do the White Sox? A family of brothers operating two different teams separately? I guess there's a world in succession where that's the case. But the true reality is that brothers, while they do communicate, they tend to run their own businesses if they are separate, even in the same industries. I would expect Matt to stay focused on the Phoenix Suns, and I would expect Justin to try, when he takes over, to focus solely on the White Sox. It is a positive for their family net worth. It is a diversity of acquisition by going to a different league. But man, that transaction was so entirely misunderstood when it was announced yesterday. Like it was a breaking story. Get on Chicago radio. Get on your podcast, Emergency Pod. Reinsdorf is selling the White Sox. That's not what happened at all. I think it's time. I think we're going to take a break. When we come back, we are going to review. I cannot wait to review this movie. And then I want to talk to you about what happened with the Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday, because it's not that I'm grumpy because it's Friday. I'm not overly tired. It's been a week. There's no question about it. But when I lose a wait to see, and you're going to hear which one I lose, I take it personally. We'll talk about everything after the break. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. Please go on davidsamsonpodcast.com. I heard that we did not have that 15% up, but I think it's up now. So there's new merch. Check it out. I just got my new merch delivered. As a matter of fact, Coca, can you see it right over my, wrong way, right over my right shoulder? If you're watching on Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube, please hit subscribe. And if you're listening to this, then I'm pointing to a new hat. That is the new Nothing Personal hat that is part of our set behind me. Thank you if you're on the DraftKings Network. What's shaking? I watch a movie every day. You know what it's time for? We need to do that completely again, Coca. We rehearsed how this was going to go. We got the first week jitters in our hands. This is show 5, folks. I want everyone to stay calm. Here's how it's supposed to go. Hey, welcome back from the break. It's David Samson. Thank you so much for being here. Now it is time for the review. Yes. Way to go, Coca. Let me tell you, we nailed that. I mean, we didn't need a tech rehearsal by any stretch, did we? Somebody DM'd me the other day, and they miss our old music, which was Here We Go, Here We Go. I love the new music, obviously, because I was a part of choosing it. Did we settle that whole thing? Are we good with the intro music now, Coca? Everything good? Everyone enjoying it? Nobody loves change. Everyone gets worried. Yeah, we changed the logo. Yeah, we changed the intro, outro, some wipes. It's evolving, man. Remember what we say. If you're not changing, you're getting worse. Let's talk about the review and what I watched. And I told you I'd watch it. And OMG. I'm excited for the NBA Finals. I'm excited because Jesse Armstrong is directing and writing a new movie. I love Succession. You are not serious people. That's like the story of my life. That's like a compliment. I know a lot of families that are like the Succession families, and it's a thing. So Jesse Armstrong doing another movie, I'm in like Errol. It's called Mountainhead. It's on Max. Coca. When do we start calling it HBO Max? Now? I think my app still said Max on the TV. I think it's changing back. I just don't know when. Mountainhead is with Steve Carell, the 40-year-old virgin. Do you know him from Bruce Almighty? Do you know him from The Office? Wherever you know him from, Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, Steve Carell, just fantastic. He's in a movie with Jason Schwartzman. You may know him from some Wes Anderson movies, just fantastic. That's same adjective twice. Rami Youssef, really, really good. Here's the thing what this movie's about. It's almost hard to imagine. It's about four billionaires who get together at a place called Mountainhead, which is the name of the house that's owned by the poorest of the four. I think that's a good example of when you know you've got money is when you name your house. It seems a little goyish to me, but that said, I'm in. I don't have a house that has a name. It has an address, but not a name. It's funny. Welcome to Thunderbird. So Mountainhead is this, we don't know where it is. It's some ski resort, I assume. Four billionaires get together and they plot to change the world. It was supposed to be timely, as though this was Elon Musk and some of his, co-conspirators, or maybe it's Zuckerberg. Add in the Twitter guy whose name is escaping me. Maybe you put in anybody from, maybe Jobs if he's around, which he's not. Just picture four titans. Then picture them in a room doing what you'd expect titans to do, somehow eating these amazing plates of food that are prepared by the myriad staff who are around to help with luggage, and then disappear except when food is around, but then they don't even appear bringing the food. It's like a cut, and all of a sudden the food is there. And they're sitting around just sort of having these intellectual conversations, the type of conversations that people have when everyone in the room needs to know that they're the smartest people in the room, when in fact they're not. They're just really good at the ideas they had for their business, and they managed to have a great, amazing business. Jeff Bezos, I'm going to give him a B for brilliant, put him in the room in Mountainhead, except I'm going to tell you, I have no idea if he's brilliant or not. I do know that selling books online, smart. And all of a sudden making it so I get my Charmin Ultra Strong, smarter. So they sit around and you're thinking, am I like a voyeur? Am I a fly on the wall listening to what the top quarter of the top quarter of the top % in this world, here's what they're doing? And all of a sudden they're deciding what to invade, what country they want to run, how they want to change the US, how they're going to change the world, how they're going to use their websites and technologies to be this. Then all of a sudden, they're plotting to kill one of themselves in a sort of weird Serengeti moment. Where is this person weaker? Is this person getting in the way of our grand master plan? Does this person not understand the way we can effectuate change the world, and leave a legacy long and far beyond our $1 billion can do? There's a scene where they actually lipstick the amount of their net worth on their chests, and you're looking and saying, my God, am I glad no one's here to see it. And then you watch the end of the movie and you say, wow, am I glad no one is going to be here to see this. It's a disaster. I would rank Mountainhead as a 1.1 out of 10. I have no idea what its rating is. I have no idea if people are liking it. But when I saw the commercial for it, I was frothing at the mouth with excitement. I was ready. Oh, I couldn't see it, Coca. Thank you. A 5. There it is. When I did not know it was a 5.5 on IMDb, I probably would have ignored the movie. But no, I wouldn't have ignored Jesse Armstrong. Don't watch it. Save yourself. Because you're going to be very busy this weekend. Not only do we have a lot of picks of the day, which we're going to get to, but also the movie that I'm going to review Monday is a miniseries, a 2-episode. So it's really 2 movies because each episode is about 100 minutes. It's called Pee-wee as Himself. If you don't know who Pee-wee Herman is, please watch the documentary. If you do know who Pee-wee Herman is, please watch the documentary. If you do or do not know that Paul Rubens is Pee Wee Herman and you think you know the story, believe me, you don't know the story. I'd like to tell you that I'm going to watch it this weekend, but I don't like lying to you, so I'm not going to. I already watched it during one of my long sleepless nights this week, 2 of them actually. I can't wait to review it Monday. I can't wait for you to watch it. So on Wednesday, Coca, we did a So You Want to Talk to Samson second hour, and we got so much positive feedback for that. I love all of your voicemails. Please keep calling. 631-377-4869. That number again, if you want to talk to Samson, is 631-DPS-4869. Hard to forget that number, isn't it? 631-DPS-4869. The reason why we want your emails, 4869. Hi, I'm David Samson. Okay, I'm good. The reason why we want your voicemails is that you and your voice and your question could appear every Wednesday when we do So You Want to Talk to Samson in the second hour of our show. So keep calling that number, and please leave us your name, leave us a good question, and don't ramble. I'm sick of Aaron Rodgers. I had an argument with several people yesterday, Coca. I'm surrounded in my life by Packers fans. And when I say surrounded, it goes deep and long. Grandfather, dead Packer fan. Father, dead Packer fan. Think that'd be it? Nope. Uncle, sister, brother, cousin, girlfriend, family. It's almost hard to imagine. You meet someone from New York and they're all Packer fans. Means they're Aaron Rodgers fans. Means they're Brett Favre fans. Means they can't get over the fact that Brett Favre is a terrible person. We reviewed The Fall of Favre on Levitar the other day. Not worth your time, The Untold Story on Netflix. It's terrible because he is a terrible subject. No empathy for that guy. Yeah, he could play. Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, he won. Good for him. I think that he's shown you who he is. I tend to believe Danica Patrick more than I believe Aaron Rodgers, and Shailene Woodley more than I believe Aaron Rodgers. The guy's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I guess a little ayahuasca, a little of this, little of that, little ego, little money, put it all together. And what do you get? You get a guy who is so delusional and so out of this world ridiculous. And then you get a team begging to sign him like a bunch of groveling fools. The Pittsburgh Steelers signed Aaron Rodgers, and I'm here for it. I would like to extend my sincere apologies to Michael Hill, someone I worked with for many years who's a very big Steelers fan. And you understand, your team's going to stink. Aaron Rodgers led the Pittsburgh Steelers on in a way that makes me unbelievably shocked that the owners of the Steelers, longtime owners, veteran owners who are all about loyalty. How many head coaches have they had? Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin. How many more? That's like my whole lifetime, 3 coaches. That they are bringing in someone who does not put the L in loyalty, puts the L in loser. Why would you do that? Why bring in someone who's all about himself and not about the team? You think that's what you need to somehow get Pittsburgh over the hump and give them some level of postseason success instead of the usual 9 victories and out? It's been 80 days since free agency started. Aaron Rodgers visited the Steelers 70 days ago, and the Steelers just sat there like lapdogs, licking at his hanging nads, saying, oh, come whenever you want. It's all good. We don't need an answer. We'll just do it on your own time. You're so good that this is like getting Brady at his peak or getting Jordan at his peak, that we're good, man. You just let us know. If you can make it for OTAs, fantastic. If not, fine. If you can make it to our first game, great. You don't want to play on the home against the Jets, road Jets, fine, no problem. You want to take a private plane here, there, everywhere, we're good. You tell us because this is what we've been waiting for. You think Terry Bradshaw is the only person who looks at this sign and says, what a joke? Now Terry Bradshaw is going to come out. Does he have to come out loving Aaron Rodgers? What's he going to cross his toes and fingers? We've known that Rodgers has been linked to the Steelers for crying out loud the entire offseason. I just don't understand the mentality of someone who is so about I and never about team. I don't understand the mentality of wanting a player so badly that you do whatever you have to do. And in fact, what it does, it poisons the locker room. Because you've got great players in that locker room, longtime Steelers who are extremely loyal to the organization, who have been a part of ups, downs, and sideways, wondering, who the hell is this guy and why does he get this? And it's not about the salary that he signed. It's not like he got $50 million, but anything over $1.69 is an overpay. Now, people will say, David, is this personal? Because are you not recognizing the fact that Aaron Rodgers had a great season last year when he almost passed for 4,000 yards and he threw 28 touchdowns and made it onto the Jets' career list in one season? No. Is this personal because Aaron Rodgers led a team that couldn't win 6 games? That doesn't sound personal. That sounds factual. Aaron Rodgers, who had a quarterback rating 25th out of 32 starters. Why? Why? Because you can touch it up with however many yards you want, however many touchdowns you want. And at the end of the day, are you throwing the ball downfield with success? Oh, is your team winning? Just asking. Just throwing it out there. Are you scoring touchdowns, throwing for touchdowns without throwing interceptions? Just asking. What is it about Aaron Rodgers at 41 that the Steelers all of a sudden think that he's the right guy to come in and replace Russell Wilson and Justin Fields? Pittsburgh made the decision to go with Aaron Rodgers over those two. Are they going to be right? I think it's almost impossible that they will be. But we get now a press conference of Aaron Rodgers. We get TV interest because everyone under the sun says, oh, let's watch this absolute disaster unfold like it's a train wreck. Let's see the Steelers get brought right down into the crapper and watch it being led by number 12. Wait to see is when I tell you something's going to happen. And when it happens, I do revisit it. And it's on the document at davidsamsonpodcast.com. You can find every wait to see from the whole show. On December 19th of 2024, that's 6 months ago, I told you Aaron Rodgers will play next year. That's a yes. How did I know? Because Aaron Rodgers ain't walking away from money or the spotlight or all the things that he does that finance all the other things he does. You can bet your sweet Bippy you're going to have to rip the uniform off his back, or you're just going to have enough teams who say, you know what? Probably not going to help us. That'll be the end of Aaron Rodgers, but not yet. There were a lot of rumors on March 3rd of 2025 that Aaron Rodgers would join the Giants. I don't know if you remember those. I did a wait to see that Aaron Rodgers will not be the Giants quarterback in week 1 of the 25 season. That's another yes. Adding value on the wait to sees, baby. And then I screwed it up. March 11th, 2025. I told you I'll be accountable. I told you that there's no way Rodgers signs with the Steelers. I got that wrong. Do you know why I said that? I said it because I had such respect for the Steelers hierarchy, for the Steelers way, for the ownership, for understanding what they do, how they do it, why they do it. And people said to me when I've given them that theory, they say, but David, they let that POS Ben Roethlisberger be around for that many years. He wasn't exactly the light of my life. He wasn't exactly Mr. Moral Compass. Yeah, but you own a team long enough, you get plenty of people who are south on the compass. It doesn't mean they're completely off your team. I got that one wrong. That bothers me. Aaron Rodgers is a Steeler. Yippee-ki-yay. Nothing personal, pick of the day. Nothing personal, pick of the day. We had the Pacers plus 9.5 versus the Thunder. How do we do? We won that one. Now, if we really, this is where you add value. It's like me saying, hey, go get Judge. Add value is Pacers money line. I mean, now we're talking. I mean, Coca, Pacers plus 9.5. There was 12% VIG. I assume Pacers on the money line last night would have been plus, I don't know, 300. Probably not that high, but it could have been. This is where Coca, in all of his greatness, as he's preparing to join the show in only 12 minutes, is saying to himself, I can't find the money line from yesterday, but let me look at the money line for game 2 and take it down a little bit because game 2 is like an 11-point spread. Game 1 was 9.5. I'm going to use my noodle here. But I think I lost all comms with Coca, which is really bad for 12 minutes from now. I watched the Pirates and the Astros rain delay game. I liked that pick. Keller and the Pirates, even though they can't win with Keller pitching, even though the Pirates stink, we were plus 136. Valdez has struggled on and off, been very inconsistent. That was a big underdog pick that lost. We went 1-1. We are 73-75. Let's get to the picks for the weekend. We've got 4 of them. Get your pen handy. Number 1, we've got Red Sox Yankees starting tonight. Yes. We've got Walker Ferris Bueller. Go to Sotheby's if you want to buy Ferris Bueller's vest. Darren Ravel is selling the vest from Twist and Shout. Twist and Shout. Come on, come on, come on, come on, baby. And the Cubs game and all the other stuff from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Chosen purposely because 40 years ago today, or yesterday, was June 5th. That was the day Ferris Bueller took off. If you haven't watched the movie, watch it. Why am I mentioning that? Why? Seriously, Coca. Why? Because the starting pitcher for the Red Sox is Walker Buehler. And we're taking the Red Sox over the Yankees in game 1. Buehler's been inconsistent. The Red Sox have been inconsistent. The Red Sox have a real problem, as we've discussed on the show recently. However, there are rumors that Walker Buehler may be on the market, which would be a perfect thing for the Red Sox to do if they're not going to be competitive this year. You sign a guy, a retread, 1 year, bring him, and then move him along, get prospects when you know you're not going to re-sign him as a free agent. It's a smart way to do business. The Yankees, could they use Buehler? They saw what Buehler did for the Dodgers. Is an audition a real thing? Does Walker Buehler get told by the team, hey, man, you got to do well tonight? This is important. I want the Yankees to see you at your best. Well, I got a surprise for you. We've never would do that, ever. There are players know when they're likely to get traded, but we did not go to a player right before they were playing against a team and saying, hey, man, be good here. What we would do is go to the manager and say, we're trading Buehler. We'd like to trade Buehler to the Yankees or to anybody else. Please, in this start, particularly against the Yankees, make sure he doesn't get embarrassed. Don't let him wear the 12 runs against in 2 innings, the kind of start like Luzardo has. Don't put him in a position. We say that. We'll talk about it with the manager. But when you're the acquiring team, you don't think that way. You've heard me talk about Jeff Conine as one of my favorite players off and on the field. Someone who I'm still very, very close to. I've run around the world with him, literally. We were trading for him, and he had to play a doubleheader. He had to play a game. He was in Seattle, and we were working on a trade for him. And we were rooting for him to hit into double plays. We were rooting for him to be bad, not good, because we had our evaluation of him, and it wasn't relevant what he did in a particular game, 2-game or 3-game set. For teams who are acquiring those at the deadline, bullpen arms, you want to make sure you're catching them hot. But starting pitching, one little hiccup, you are not going to change your mind about acquiring that starter, especially if you are trading for people where you have control over a period of years. It's even less important. For a rental, you think about it, but it's not dispositive at all. So for those thinking that Walker Buehler is auditioning to be traded to the Mets tonight, he's not. But we're still taking Buehler and the Red Sox because they are plus 150, and Buehler has an opportunity to go 6-shutty every time. Tonight is game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. I am going to be the mush every game, it appears. I'm taking the Panthers plus 110 over the Oilers. I'm repeating the same pick as game one. While the Oilers did win game one, you'd say to yourself, can they come back from a 3-1 deficit again? Yeah, they could. Could the Panthers win the series, losing the first two at home on the road to Edmonton? They could. But I think it's way more likely the Panthers split, which is why they're my pick of the day for Friday. A third pick, which is unusual for Friday, it's Corbin Day tonight. And you know on Corbin Day, we do not miss it. The Nats are plus 102 over the Rangers. Patrick Corbin is going back to where it all started. He is going to take that mound at Nationals Park, and he's going to say, my God, this is where I won a World Series. And then he's going to say, my golly, this is where I stunk year after year after year, but collected amazing paychecks every 2 weeks. We're taking the Nats over Corbin and the Rangers. Sunday, our fourth nothing personal pick of the day. Game 2, Thunder Pacers. It's so tempting to take the Pacers plus 11 here. It is so tempting that the Pacers will not get blown out, except the Pacers will get blown out. I would view game 2 the same way that I viewed game 2 when it was Thunder Nuggets. The Pacers are really good, don't get me wrong. But the Thunder will come out and they will not shoot. I'm going to do an official wait to see here, Coca. Wait to see is when we revisit something, we put it on the document and it's real. My official wait to see is Oklahoma City will shoot over 39.8% from the field. That was their field goal percentage in game 1. My wait to see is they will shoot higher than that in game 2, which is why we are taking the Thunder minus 11 over the Pacers. I want to end this hour with a little message to Knicks fans who are nervous about who's going to replace Thomas Thibodeau. To those of you who are asking for experience or not experience, you want to see the Van Gundys, you want to see Patino, you want to see Hurley, you want to see Wright. You want to make sure that there's nothing that's done wrong. You want to make sure that James Dolan is not doing anything to muck it up. I get it. You're hearing some people now come out. Rick Pitino started the train. Rick Pitino politely declined any interest in becoming the Knicks coach. When asked, Rick Pitino said, absolutely not. I think whoever comes in, if he doesn't get to the finals, it's going to be deemed an unsuccessful season. So whoever comes in has got so much pressure on them to take this team to the next level because that's why they're doing it, obviously, in their minds. Rick Pitino is speaking some truth. You think when someone is interviewing with the Knicks, James Dolan has the gumption and the guts to say, hey, it's finals or bust? And do you think there's a coach desperate enough to accept that and say, yeah, you're right. You're right, Jimmy D. If we don't get to the finals, you ought to fire me. Why don't you sign me to a 4-year, $48 million contract? I will bring all of my experience to bear. And if we don't make the finals, I'm all good. Add my $36 million of unpaid and unearned money to the $30 million you own Tibbs, fire us both, and we'll all live happily ever after, laughing at your desire and ability to keep giving your money away. You think that experienced coaches are going to turn their back on the Knicks because it's unstable, because Dolan is terrible, meddling, and stinky, because the players really are not good enough to make it to or win the finals? When you offer a head coach the ability of security and money, it's damn hard to turn down. You think Mike Malone will turn that down? We'll find out. After this break, we're also going to find out something cool. We're going to find out how it is for me and Coca to do a show. See you right after the break. I've been excited for this day for quite a while because when we figured out and we were going to be honored with being able to do a second hour of Nothing Personal each day, we were programming and thinking about how the hours would go, what we'd talk about. And the first thing that occurred to us is that we wanted to get Coca on the show because you know that for 5 years, Coca's been in my ear. It's where he's lived, sometimes in the heads of the audience, thinking that he's real, not real. We brought him on for episode 500, again, episode 1,000, not just to show you he's real, because he's got interesting things to say, and they end up being said in my ear. And he is the best producer you could ever hope for, the best partner I could ever have. He's been with me since day one. And what we wanted to do for the second hour each Friday is we wanted Coca to come on and be able to talk to you about all the things that he tells me in my ear. We want you to hear him, all the criticisms he has, all the opinions he has of what I say, what we should talk about. And for the week, he keeps track. He keeps receipts. And so this Friday and every Friday, second hour, will be all about Coca. And we're going to have you see him. And he's going to be like a co-host for this hour. Come on in, Coca. Hey!
I am here. I am excited. Hopefully chat doesn't bury me and I could come on next week, but we will see what this hour is like. So thank you for giving me the platform to share my bad takes.
Well, you've always had the platform. It's just, remember, our platform is important when it's to one person or a million people. Your platform has been me. And believe me, you give me your takes through the course of a week, through the course of a show. And I want to know if you have the guts to share those takes and share. I'm not embarrassed about all the things I get wrong and that you don't like that I do. And I think, Coca, that people don't realize that you do not genuflect in my general direction.
Well, I think the number one thing right now is like I'm in that podcast mode where I don't know what to do with my face when it's just you talking. Like everybody does this. They do the nod. They do the podcast nod. And the whole time I'm just thinking, my hands are sweating so bad right now. I have no idea what David just said to me.
So is that during the show, or are you talking about right now specifically?
I'm talking about right now. I'm on camera.
So you're not listening at all because you're freaking out. Now, are you looking at a camera?
Yeah, that's the thing, is I'm staring straight at a camera. Like you are to my left and my right because I have two monitors. So right now I'm like in this world of just staring at this camera directly in front of me. And I have this is weird. This is a weird, like I feel like I'm, communicating in the future with a robot and it's ET in front of me and I'm trying to talk. Like this is awkward. I don't understand how you can do this every single day. But let's get into some sports. Let's get into some show people are tired about hearing about me.
No, this is, as a matter of fact, that's wrong. People are here to hear about you and about all of your real Coca-isms. And right now you're a little like tense. I'd like you to just
that's what I'm saying. Like don't
Coca.
I'm saying you're turning this into one of the interviews that you have with your friends. Like if it's Pablo and Dan, it's like, hey, let's talk sports, and then you bring them on, and it turns into, let's talk about the person. I just want to talk about sports. That's it. Like you don't have to talk about me being nervous or me being this. Let's just talk sports.
I'm waiting.
Well, I thought it's your show. I thought you were going to bring up a topic and be like, Coca, how do you feel about this?
Do it. I thought you're going to be Mr. Ombudsman and say, hey, David, your take on the NBA Finals just today in the show, you're telling me that it's never going to happen again, what Oklahoma City did. Let me tell you, I watched that game, and the Thunder are going to sweep. That would be a take.
No, I was actually just watching that game, and we talked about it because we were texting about it, and like we looked at the score, and the Thunder were up 12, and we're like, how is this game not 20? It feels comfortable. The Thunder will put it, they'll get it to 20, they'll go on a run, they're going to blow the Pacers out. And then I kept looking at it, and I'm like, hold on. The score is only 10 now. The score is only 8 now. But I'm like, you know what? They're good. Like, there's 2 minutes left in the game. They're up 8 points. The Thunder at home, there's no way they're going to blow it. And then the Pacers do what the Pacers have done this entire playoffs. Haliburton hits that shot, and you're like, did we just watch the same game? Like, weren't the Thunder up 30 in this game? How did the Pacers win that game? And then it just turns out this is what they do. And it's like, people want to talk about, is Haliburton a star? Is he not a star? Who cares? At the end of the day, he hits the shots that matters. You never know where the points are going to come from. Is it going to be Neesmith? Is it going to be Nembhard? And they both hit shots down the stretch. And you're like, how are they in this game? And they were.
So Coca, are you now convinced? Because it's funny. What does it take to convince people who the Pacers are? Because I'm right there with you. The first against Milwaukee, hey, that was cool, but I'm not convinced. Then they do it against Cleveland, come back from an insane deficit and win at the end. Yeah, that was cool. Still not convinced. When they do it to the Knicks in game 1, which we talked about on the show, hey, crazy, but wow, that's sort of like what the Pacers are. But then the next series against the Thunder, it's going to be the same thing, but yet we're still saying, oh, that can't happen.
Because it's the Thunder. Like, I think it's because it happened against the Thunder, and like everybody's been talking this whole season about how, oh, the Thunder are just such a better team. They are the team. You know, this is the way they're made. They're made to win. It's like the same thing that happened with the Florida Panthers, where you did a whole thing about how, you know, the Panthers were able to put together this team, and it's just a great team that is built for this. And then they go out to a 3-1 lead in the Stanley Cup final, and they lose, you know, to the Edmonton Oilers. And you know, that's sort of what we feel here is like, the Thunder were the team. Everybody talks about Shea. Everybody talks about Jalen Williams. Everybody talks about Chet. But, you know, at the end of it, we saw it against the Nuggets, where it's like, if the Nuggets were healthy, would the Nuggets be the team to beat? Because Jokic, to me, he just feels like he's a better player than Shea. And I understand Shea just won MVP and he scored 38 points in this game. But when Jokic is on the floor...
30 shots.
But I also feel like Jokic makes everybody else around him so much better. Whether it's the assists, whether it's the rebounds. In this game, it felt like the Pacers were so much bigger. So it's like when the Thunder missed shots, when they had these turnovers and they couldn't score off these turnovers, the Thunder just couldn't rebound. And we saw it at the end of the game where Siakam was standing under the basket. You know, he gets this rebound because he looks like a high schooler standing around a bunch of toddlers. And he just grabs the ball, puts it in, and you're like, hold on, this is a 3-point game now when the Thunder should have just ran away with it. And that's just...
So are you done? Like, that's it now? You're a believer in the Pacers? Or are you saying this was the one and done? Like, they got this comeback victory, they do it once a series, but they will not be able to overcome the Thunder the way they did with the Knicks and the Cavs and the Bucks?
No, I think we should be looking at the Pacers like we looked at the Thunder. Where it's like, this is a team, you know, it is a full team of players. You know, whether you want to call Haliburton a star player, sure, but it's the other players who have been stepping up. You know, it was Nesmith in that one game against the Knicks who hit all those shots. Yes, you had that game. You've had multiple game winners from Haliburton, which is great. But like, you've had Siakam step up when it matters. You just have players who are stepping up, and isn't that the same exact thing as what the Thunder are, except, you know, they had the league MVP as their Haliburton in this situation?
I assume the Knicks fans are rooting for Indiana, which is impossible to do because it always makes you feel better to lose to the eventual champion because it just makes you feel like, oh man, we were so close. You know, if the Indiana gets swept by Oklahoma City, which can't happen anymore, then Knicks fans have to say, God, we're not even good enough to be swept by the Thunder.
No. Because Knicks fans made an enemy, and they made an enemy out of Tyrese Haliburton, and they do not want to see him successful. Like, that's where the Knicks' passion is. It was the same thing that happened with Trae Young, where Trae Young came to the Garden, lit up the Garden, got into it with the fans, and now every time Trae Young is in the Garden, it's just a boo fest. Tyrese Haliburton, if he gets that championship, he gets to do that and the choke for the rest of his life, and it is going to drive Knicks fans crazy.
I think that I hear you. All right, that's normally what you do. You'll take the opposite view of me on stuff to make me feel old and stupid, which is fine. But the fact is that it's more important to feel like your team is good than to have someone you hate not win a title. That's always was my view as a fan. So as we head into game
Wait, but hold on. You wanted to see Reggie Miller win a championship after he buried the Knicks?
Yes.
Oh, come on.
I'm telling you why. I'm telling you what was in my head. I was a big Knicks fan. I went to all those games, every one of them, Coca, and it was my life. What Reggie Miller means to me is like what Michael Jordan means to me. I need Michael Jordan to be the GOAT. That's why I always say he's the GOAT, because if the GOAT is the one who got in the way of your team winning a title, that's the way it is. If some schnook is the one who got in the way, then that is suboptimal. And so what really I think about for my Knick fandom is not that we lost to Akeem Olajuwon in 1994. I really conveniently forget that Jordan was retired during the year we went to the finals, and that's the only reason we went to the finals, because I view my era as the Jordan era. If you are right now the Knicks and you're losing to a team like Indiana who wins it all against a team that was supposed to be the best, a huge dog, I think it's to your benefit.
I don't know, because this is what happened when LeBron was still with the Cavs and he was going to all those championships, and when he was with the Heat and going to all those championships. Like, the Pacers were trying to be that team. So I don't think that Pacers fans, when LeBron was taking over the East, were like, oh no, we want LeBron to win. Like, maybe the first time, but when he's going back to championship after championship after championship, you want it to be your team. And if the Pacers this time turn into that, then as a Knicks fan, you have to hate. You have to be fueled by it, and seeing them lose this championship would probably mean more than seeing them win it, so they can be like, yeah, we got beat by the best.
I saw a great stat, and this is now our first test of can you produce and do the show at once? Because normally during the show, I'd say to you, hey, can you look up right now? Didn't LeBron go to like 12 finals? Because he was with the Cavs, then he was with the Heat, he's with the Lakers.
He went to eight consecutive finals starting in 2011.
Finals. Is that I mean, I guess the Celtics did more during their time with Bill Russell and Bob Cousy, but 8 consecutive finals has to be. Jordan didn't go to 8 consecutive because he retired in the middle, so he doesn't count. No one else in my lifetime went to 8. Celtics, Lakers in the 80s, they switched off, but there were a few other teams in there, like the Sixers in '83. Has any other player? Robert Horry may be a guy that could have gone to 8 consecutive finals. He went to a lot with a lot of different teams. He's got a ton of rings. But I'm going to say that LeBron doing that is very impressive. And I don't know why.
It's Bill Russell. Bill Russell.
How many did he go to in a row?
10 straight.
Unbelievable.
From 56 to 65.
He doesn't get enough love, Bill Russell. Well, I guess he does get a lot of love. When he died, people were very, very into that. Why is there a patch? I missed it. Are all the NBA players wearing the same number on their jersey? Or the hockey? One of the finals had the uniform numbers remembering somebody. And is there a hockey
I would think
player
maybe Johnny Gaudreau, the player who died in the accident in Jersey.
Are both teams wearing that on their jersey? I may be making it up. I don't think I am. There was some number. This is exactly. Hey, welcome to Nothing Personal, folks. This is what we do. Coca's forced to try to find what the hell I'm thinking about, and it's always hard for me to do. And on Fridays, he's trying to do that and be on the show, which is going to be very difficult. But if anyone can do it, God knows he can.
I don't know right now. Hopefully somebody in chat could tell me, but yeah, they're not.
What did you think of our first week? What bothered you? What made you happy?
Well, I think we already discussed it a little bit. I felt as if some of these interviews that you had could have been better. You know, I think our fans are tired of Dan and Pablo coming on and you guys not talking about anything that you haven't talked about before. Like, I felt like it was a big opportunity for you to, you know, talk to Pablo about things that aren't just the makeup of his show and just some of the things that he has found out, you know, throughout the year, whether it was the Bill Belichick story or going on with Bill Simmons. Like, those were things where you could have talked about something interesting going on in his life, and somehow, some way, you turned it into, you know, me. What's it like to be me and my friends? And, you know, it all came back to you. So
Did
it's
I really
funny where
say that?
No, I'm just saying where it's just in my own words, I'm saying that. So it's funny when Dan comes on here and he talks about an attention off between you and Pablo, and then you have Pablo on here, and it's like you wanted that crown so bad that you just talked about things that you wanted to talk about, and not necessarily things that the listeners of Nothing Personal would be interested in, you know, hearing about. So we have to work on it.
So when we're doing rundowns, then you have to go through if we have a guest on, because we'll have a guest next Tuesday and next Thursday. I don't do you announce your guests in advance on
Yeah,
a
yeah. I mean,
show?
just let
Do
people
we do that?
know. But here's
But
the
what if they cancel
here's the
because of an
thing. Like
emergency?
Pablo says. Here's the thing. The thing is, this was in the rundown. Those things were in the rundown. You just chose to run with things in your own personal
Well, that's
rundown. Yeah,
because
yeah. I mean,
the whole show is me and
it was-
my own brain.
Yeah, it was in there. Like, it was definitely in there. To talk about the Bill Simmons thing or talk about Belichick, but you went
Didn't you
rogue and
find
you
the Bill
tried to
Simmons
you
thing
tried
to
to
be
do it with
funny?
me to be funny. What do you mean, like a beef, like a media beef?
Yeah, do you find media beefs
No,
funny or not funny?
I listen. I love Pablo. I really do. So this is not against him, but it's just like we in the media. I can say that now because I'm on camera. We try to make the story about us. You know, the story was never about Pablo, and it was never about Bill Simmons. The story was about Bill Belichick and his girlfriend and what's going on with that situation, because it is really bizarre that the greatest NFL coach of all time is being controlled, by his girlfriend, quote unquote controlled. I don't know
Coca,
for
what's
a
bizarre
fact.
about that? Is he the first octogenarian to be controlled by a younger woman?
No, I just think that in our minds, he was always the do your job guy. Like, it's always just about work. And it's always about work ethic and holding players accountable. And I'm the greatest PR guy of all time, and I'm not going to answer questions. It's on to Cincinnati, and I'm going to be this funny man. But now it's like he can't answer a question truthfully. So that is the story. Like, that was the story.
But we've talked about that so much. You want me to have Pablo?
Yeah, but that's
on
what I'm
as a
saying.
guest?
So it's either talk about the story or just move on. Just move on from it. I don't think it needs to turn into this media beef, because there's already so much BS going on with people and the media, and people not trusting the media, and people hating the media, and media members losing their jobs, whether it's newspaper people or people on the radio being replaced. And it's like, why don't we ever just talk about the games? So this was just, another situation on a grand level where it's pointed out, where it's like, oh, let's just talk media beefs. Let's get into media beefs. And it's just like, it's just, to me, it's ridiculous. And listen, Pablo didn't do it. Pablo didn't call out Bill Simmons. It was Simmons making a joke about Pablo, so he responded. I get it. Everybody wants to respond, because it's good. It's good for the Q rating to do that when you have.
So what is your advice? Your advice is when we have Pablo on, are you saying I should have talked about the Bill Simmons stuff or not?
No, I think it's I think maybe you could have, maybe you could have, but I think it's like, what did he learn? What is he learning from episode 1 to this Bill Belichick story? Now that there's so much attention on him, how has the show changed? What is he trying to find out now? How has the show evolved in over a year of doing these stories? How has his reporting evolved? He talked, someone had mentioned that, hey, this is the future of what magazine is, and it's Pablo using journalism to discuss something with his friends and share these details, and they react to it. So there's so many things that Pablo is doing that feels sort of like the future of sports journalism and journalism in general. And it's like, that was his moment to lay that out. Yeah, to talk about you and how you felt. And it was just like,
okay,
we get it.
I'll take that criticism. I'll take that note. What else? Keep it coming. You're on a roll.
Yeah, I think the same thing goes on with Dan. It's just like, I work really hard to make people like you. I do. That's what Nothing Personal is. Nothing Personal is the vehicle where you can be yourself.
Are you speaking as you or Dan right now?
No, I am speaking as me.
So you're saying, Coca, that you work hard to have people like me. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. I think these pre-production meetings and the way that we talk about things, I mean, it's going pretty well. If we have an army of people who are listening to the show still and who still believe in the show enough to join us for 2 hours a day, I think that's pretty good for us and for what we've done since 2019 and doing this. But it's always amusing to me where you have to go be the evil CEO. And that is somehow making people like you. Like, how exactly is that making people like you? I don't see it. Maybe they love to hate the character, and that's something. But I disagree strongly that is a way of making people like you. So it's just like every time Dan comes on here, find something else to talk about, because there's definitely other things to talk about that people would be interested in. It could also give Dan another place where he can just talk to you about sports or things that he's interested in, and somehow these conversations just become so personal on nothing personal.
Okay. It's hard for me to argue with anything you're saying, except I want more. What else happened this week that's in your head?
Well, my rundown's over here, so if I'm looking to the side, we're looking over here. So one of the big things that we love to talk about on the show is service time manipulation. And this became like a hot topic for you, where everybody crushed you, including me, about what the Royals were doing, where you disagreed strongly with their decision to call up Jack Caglione, sorry. And I just want you to sort of further explain to me why you thought that was a bad move, and why the Red Sox aren't bringing up Roman Anthony when it feels like, he's done all that he can do at AAA, and the Red Sox are spiraling, and they have other young players up on the Red Sox. Maybe the Royals don't, but the Red Sox are calling up younger players to fill these needs. So I just want to know how baseball, one of these sports that you always talk about craving for attention, just fails all the time to build these rookies up. There are young players who are trapped. It feels like they're trapped in AAA. And baseball is desperate for attention. Listen, baseball's desperate for attention. They are desperate for stars. If you did a man on the street right now and you asked people to, if you showed them a lineup of baseball players and you said, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? Who's that? I would almost guarantee 80% of people couldn't name all 10 people in that lineup. But if you did the same
players,
you don't think people know who Patrick Mahomes is? You don't think people know who
Patrick Mahomes? 10.
Well, I'm saying
10 Patrick Mahomes is. I'm in. People will know who that is. Mostly, not everybody. Some people. I think we get caught in our world where thinking everyone cares about sports and business in a way that most people don't. But your point's well taken. But Coca, I got to tell you, criticize me all you want, and I appreciate it, and I'm happy to have you disagree with it. But you're a fan, and the reason you're a fan is that you're a fan. You don't understand or care about the business of baseball, just like the business of show business. There are decisions that have to be made by executives that are not popular with the actors, the actresses, the people on the crew, just like there's sports decisions that are not popular in the locker room or in the hallway at work for people who love the team. But what the Royals did, and I said it and I'll say it again, incredibly irresponsible. Now, I've not checked, and I'm happy to do it right now while we're recording this show. He's been up. I think they had a doubleheader. They split with the Cardinals last night. I don't know if he played both sides of the doubleheader. Doesn't matter whether he went 0 for 5 in his first game or 0 for 4 or 3 for 5. What matters is his clock has started, and the Royals are going to be paying him, instead of $900,000 in 3 years, they're going to be paying him $5 million. That's a $4 million call up. And then the year after, he'll go to $10 million instead of $5 million. The Royals are paying $10 million extra for this guy, and all fans had to say in Kansas City is, well, we want to win. Samson, you're an idiot. And that's how you sound, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but it's not even about that. It's about burying people. Like, that's what baseball does. Baseball buries their young stars.
That's just not true.
I mean, it is true.
Literally is not true.
It isn't the name a star. Name a star. Name a star in Major League Baseball right now. Who would you say
Tatis
is a superstar? How many people outside of the regular sort of baseball experts, when I say that I mean fans, know who Fernando Tatis is? How many? It's just like we've moved on to this.
He's popular or not?
I'm saying he's baseball popular. But baseball popular doesn't mean anything. Kyle Kuzma is our favorite player to talk about because he is sort of the litmus test of being a star outside of your own sport. Like, you can't have Kyle Kuzma be more popular than your most popular players and not say that a league is burying their talent. They are not building these people up. There is not buy-in by the players to want to be stars, to want to be social media stars. And it's like, if that is where the younger generation is moving to, then baseball needs to move there too. And right now, I think baseball fails to build these stars because you have a guy who's batting 7 million in AAA, and it's like, oh, whoa, his clock is starting. That's $1 million. We can't give that $1 million to that player. And then on one side, you can't sit there and be like, listen, baseball's going to be fine. The TV contracts, they are going to pay big money for baseball. Baseball is in a good place. Well, you can't say that when the NBA players are making $70 million a year. And everybody knows who they are. And baseball sort of is at that same level where the NBA is when it comes to viewership. They're above the NHL level. But it's just like, you have to be able to build these stars, and baseball is failing at their job to do that.
You're talking about so many things at once. You're talking about the lack of stars and building of the stars. I get it. But you're equating that to not calling up Jack. The Royals guy who's now hitting .77 after 3 games, which doesn't matter if he were hitting .877.
Then why'd you bring it up?
The same way, because if I can bolster my argument with a bit of statistics,
well, then you can't say it doesn't matter. You have to say that it does matter.
Wrong. You always use whatever arrows can be in your quiver, whether you believe in them or not. And if you have a fact or a stat that goes against what your view is, you do not give that fact or stat. Welcome to World in the Media, Coca. This is how it works. We are in a world where confirmation bias rules the day. And I get to say that Jack, after 3 games, is hitting under 100, but that's not my point. And that doesn't mean he's not going to be an all-star. As a matter of fact, if he is an all-star, it makes my point even better, which is why I'm rooting for him to be an all-star. Because if you get an all-star who is paid the minimum, it's like in the NFL, if you can win with a quarterback on his first deal instead of his second, that's the way to do it, because you can get a better team around it.
Yeah, I think the problem, but I just think the problem with your thinking is that when you were team president, you could hide these things. The service time manipulation could be hid. Keeping players in the minors can be hid. Now there's just hidden, sorry. There's so much media pressure now and social media pressure that there are no secrets. There aren't any secrets to be like, oh no, this is what we're doing. That's why he's down there. So it's like, to do this in the face of fans when they know what you're doing is just disrespectful to the people that you want coming to your games, the people that you want building your future with. It just feels like a giant slap in the face over and over and over and over and over again, because you're seeing it right now with the Red Sox and Roman Anthony, where it's like, you're going to call
crowdsource, Coca. I think that's what we'll do. We're going to crowdsource every single transaction. We're going to ask the fans, when should we bring up Roman Anthony? Because they've got the answer. And you, Coca, just said, well, he's got nothing left to do at AAA. That was very funny, by the way. How do you know are you now a guy in development?
I thought I was supposed to use everything at my disposal to boost my argument. And if you look at Roman Anthony's numbers in AAA, it's just, he's been there for so long. He's been there over 90 games. He's batting over 300 in AAA. So it's just like, what more do you need to do when you're a struggling team like the Red Sox, who are trying to build some sort of foundation? What are you supposed to do when you're talking about all the drama that goes on with the Red Sox and Rafael Devers not wanting to play first base, and then he jokingly before games is taking grounders, and Alex Cora is saying, oh, I had no idea that he was doing those things, but yet you have a Christian Campbell up. They're bringing up I think his name's Marcelo Meyer. So it's like they're bringing up young players, and then it's like they're laughing at fans because there could be a certain date that is coming up, and then it's like, oh, you know what? Now he's ready. Now he's ready to be a major leaguer. It was that 1 week. That 1 extra week, those 3 extra games that he played, now he is ready to be successful. But we just disrespected our fans who have been with us since we traded away Mookie Betts. They've been with us since we traded away the star player that we had. Now we're just going to laugh in their faces to save $1 million.
Maybe we should. Did Mookie Betts get traded or leave as a free agent? Oh, they got back Alex Verdugo, I think. Wasn't that the Mookie Betts trade?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
from the Dodgers.
Pretty sure it was.
And I can't remember who else. Jeter Downs. I have to have.
Who's not even. I don't even think he's in the big leagues
can we
anymore.
check? Can we check? And don't forget when you're talking to turn back toward the microphone while you're looking elsewhere. Will you check the Mookie Betts trade?
It was Mookie Betts, David Price, and cash for Alex Verdugo, Jeter Downs, and Connor Wong.
Tough one. Trades are hard. You know how hard it is? I mean, it's so easy for fans to get so grumpy about things that front offices do. And it's not that I'm trying to defend every front office or I'm trying to somehow rewrite my own history, which was littered with failures and successes. But man, it's just easy. And now that I'm in the media with you, we do this all the time. Alex Cora came out and said, we don't want the young guys doing anything other than complimenting our core of veterans. We need them to be better and play better. We shouldn't have to count on rookies.
Yeah, but it's hard. It's hard to do that when you get hurt. When Plan A has to become Plan Z, and you don't want to go to Plan Z, and you hold on to Plan A for as long as you can hold on to Plan A for. That's when you are the Red Sox. That's when you start crumbling.
But running a team, it's funny you say that because I don't know if that's what they're doing. Because if it is, that's really bad. Because you have a plan A through Z when you start a season, and you know very well you're going to have to get to plan Z because stuff's just going to happen out of your control. There's going to be a situation where there's an extra injury or some lack of performance that requires you to go to those plans, which is why you spend the offseason making those plans. And we're accusing the Red Sox now of being unwilling to go to their plan Z, and you're manifesting that by saying they're not calling up their, Roman Anthony. I just think that causation you're attributing to the Red Sox doesn't actually exist.
Well, they need to do something. We always talk about PR wins. Bringing up a player is an easy PR win, whether he's successful or not. If the fans are begging for some sort of change, and the simple thing that a team can do is bring up their top prospect so that they can cheer for a game. If it works out, it works out, and you look like the smartest person in the world for doing that. If it doesn't work out, you can take the victory lap and say, hey, this didn't work out. We tried it. We want to send him back down there because he just simply wasn't ready. But yet we use this date in the calendar to say, hey, we want to save money. But like I said, before it could stay hidden that you want to save money. Now it can't. Now it can't be hidden. So it's just like the fans have grown smarter because there is just more information for us, to see. So it's just like, if you want to continue to do that, change your strategy. If you're a team, change the strategy. Come out and say something, other than, hey, we don't want the young guys to be carrying the team. Well, somebody needs to, because the veteran guys aren't carrying the team.
We're doing that for everyone. That's the whole purpose of our show, is to let people know what's actually happening, because you're right. Executives won't talk about service time manipulation, but we will. Executives won't talk about why they're doing what they're doing. But in terms of listening to fans and to the outside noise, so I would assume now your view is that the Braves ought to just fire Snitker, put Freddie in at manager, get rid of Alex Anthopoulos, because they're totally screwed after last night's absolute debacle. It reminded me of nightmares. So happy not to be the president of a team, giving up 7 in the 9th to lose.
Yeah, this team is like, this is the perfect example of where I wanted to go in conversation, and it's not about how bad the Braves are with all their star players and getting Acuna back, and you thought they were going to be better, and Spencer Strider coming back, and then you look at Strider's numbers and he's losing velocity. Like, that stuff is important to me because it's not just them, and I want to talk about a league-wide issue, and it's pitching, and it's arms, and it's, if MLB comes out and they say all these pitchers are getting hurt because they are chasing velocity, we know that they are chasing velocity, and then they're like, hey, spider tack is a thing that you can have it's better for your grip. It's better for pitchers, but sometimes pitchers pitch too well using it. It's illegal to use that stuff. We're going to throw you out of the game. We're going to suspend you for it. But we are working on something. We are working on something that pitchers are going to be able to use. Well, where is it? We've been waiting years for something to come out because right now there is absolutely no protection against pitchers. You have the strike zone, sure, but I'd rather my pitchers get to use spider tack and make it a little harder for players to hit the ball because every player either wants a home run or they're going to strike out anyway. So it's just like, give pitchers something because every team can't lose pitchers every single year. Like, you can't be waiting for the Paul Skeens to go down, like just what happened with Sandy. And Sandy comes back, and you're like, is he broken still? No, he's not broken.
Sandy
his
Alcantara.
arm, the muscle tore off the bone in his arm. He can't pitch. So it's just like we are.
Coca, did you just say Sandy because you don't know how to say his last name?
No, I was saying Sandy just because it was easier because you were going to come out and you're going to say Alcantara, but it's not Alcantara, and I just let you go away with it.
I think it's Alcantara.
No, it's Sandy Alcantara. You got to put a little Spanish, a little, a hint of spice to some of these names.
Actually, Sandy Wait, now I forgot. I think it's Alcantara.
All right, let's just go back to what we were talking about and stop being hung up on
the.
But that's what you do is you get distracted and you never get back to your point. Yeah, but I want people to listen to these. But I want people to listen to these conversations because it's good. Because you can come from the front office perspective and the league perspective of why they are allowing a team like the Dodgers to just go through 30 pitchers in a season, and nobody thinks that there's a problem with that. Like, these are actual human beings, and they're being run into the ground. And baseball is doing the best, I guess.
What is your point? I literally don't understand what you're asking.
This is the only sport that there is where all their stars are just gone year after year. Year after year, their stars are gone. And all people in baseball, you included, all you guys talk about is how do we make the sport bigger? And it's just like every time people can become attached to a name, that player is disappeared and they come back and they are a shell of themselves again. A shell of themselves.
I don't know if what you're saying is right. I actually don't. Are there more injuries per cap in baseball than there are in basketball? When people
the stars, I would say, yeah, but Kevin Durant got hurt and he came back and he's still Kevin Durant. He's still scoring 30 points a game. Spencer Strider is coming back from his injury and he's getting shelled. Sandy comes back from his injury and he's getting shelled. Like, it's the only.
But it takes a minute, Matt. It takes a minute after Tommy John. It takes a minute when you have soft tissue issues with your hammies. Sometimes you come back too early and sometimes you don't get the performances that you want. But I just feel as though we may be doing a little confirmation bias when we're talking about the fact that NFL and ML and NBA don't have star injuries. I hear you. There's a lot of injuries. We've been trying it forever, trying to study it. How do you get pitchers not to get hurt? The answer is it's a totally unnatural act to throw the ball. Forget 99. It's unnatural to throw the ball 89. And so the view is that you go until you can't go anymore. It's not unlike being I don't want this to come out wrong, so just stay with me. It's not unlike being a construction worker. How many 80-year-old construction workers are there lugging beams around? At some point, you age out of the ability to do a job. In baseball, at some point, you age out or you injure out of being able to do your job. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't have that job as an available way to make a living. Pitching's a way to make a living. You're not going to be able to do it for long. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, but we're talking about 26-year-olds. Like, we're talking about 29 that you're saying aging out. When you still have a Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, you can talk about their performance and them not being great, which is fine. But they are 15 years the elder of these players that we're talking about. You can't have players age out of being a star. In their early to mid.
Did it bother you when people aged out of Menudo?
All right. So, anyways, you're aging people out of being stars, and then I'm moving on. And talking about keeping them down in AAA. Like it's a two-part thing about keeping players down and then your stars age out. So it's just like, what is it? I'm just trying to understand, and I'm just trying to get you to explain to fans in a way of like, what is like this entire conversation has literally just turned into what is baseball doing? But I feel like this conversation could be had any day of the week and any year about what is baseball doing.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's an open-ended question. You'd like me to?
Well, that was sort of just me, like my mic drop moment right there. Like if I could pick up this microphone and just drop it and just walk off stage left, I would have done it right there, and then you would have had to sit there and like come up with an answer. So I was just like waiting for your answer of like, oh, Rob Manfred has a laundry list of things, whether it's their new spider tack or this or that or this, and it's just like I know you don't have that answer.
Are you imitating me right now?
Well, that was that was a little bit of an imitation.
Let me try to talk exactly that way and tell you what Rob Manfred is doing. No, stop it. Stop with this. And you're not dissimilar. And this is what I get, folks, from Coca all day, every day, mostly just in my ear. And now you're getting a sample of Coca's sort of emotional view of the love of the game from a fan's perspective. And the answer on spider tack, just FYI, is that there are people within the front offices of baseball who don't want spider tack of any kind. There are front offices in baseball who want exactly spider tack, and then there are front offices who want something in between. And until you've got some sort of consensus, you're going to have a hard time coming up with what substance should be used. Because remember, the pitchers using this substance are using it such to the detriment of hitters, making it impossible to hit when hitting is impossible to do anyway. Hitting is the hardest thing to do in all of sports. And if you make it even harder, half the union's not happy about it. That's number one. Number two, your consistent complaining that baseball and its injuries are crushing the fans. Injuries of any kind are crushing, I grant you. However, people know what the rules of engagement are. And in baseball, it is very normal for pitchers to be hurt, which is why you shouldn't sign to long-term deals. But it's normal. And fans know that, which is why you need to have depth. The Dodgers have the money to have depth. The Marlins do not. That's the collective bargaining issue. How do you deal with the difference in ability to have depth? But it's not as though we have a fan base who's saying, oh my God, I've never seen pitchers get hurt before. This is just the reality.
How did you feel yesterday when you were sitting there on social media, because I know you're glued to your phone, and you see the world's richest man get into a Twitter fight with the president of the United States?
Well, I did two things, Coca. One, I texted you saying, can I respond to this? Because you've become sort of a person I rely on because you're you and I'm me. I think that our audience would be thrilled to know the number of times that I get fooled by tweets of fake accounts. But I wanted to engage because I was wondering to myself, are people not seeing what's happening here between Elon Musk and Donald Trump? It is a war. And who wins a war? Is it the rich person or is it the powerful person? Trump being the powerful person, the president, Musk being the rich person. Who do you think wins a war between money and power?
Was that a question to me right there?
Yes, it was.
I mean, I guess we're about to find out, right? Like we're about to see. But it's just power? But I think money could buy you power.
Ooh, great point.
I mean, because isn't that what just happened? Like, isn't what happened, that money sort of bought Elon this position where he's Trump's number one guy, and he's sort of sitting in the White House and he's starting Doge and he's making all these things, and then Trump sort of turns on him. So now we're about to see, exactly what else Elon Musk can do. But I'm talking more along the lines of like, this is happening so public. Is this how... I'm going to age you a little bit here, but is this how it used to be? Where like the president had this sort of front-facing ally, and then it just became this like big thing for the public to see. So like, how can I rally the troops? Or is this like the social media sort of era that we're seeing more of this?
Every president who I have been alive for has had civilians who were their boosters, both financially and from a policy standpoint. And there's not one exception. Clinton, Reagan, Obama, Carter, Ford, Nixon. Uh, Here's the thing. What Trump did, the reason why this is noteworthy, obviously social media is a part of it, but more importantly, when you've got two people who are mistaken as to what their roles are because they didn't plan their partnership out of anything but lust and greed, that's why the partnership fell apart. Real partners, when they're forming a company or deciding how they're going to do a merger, have a discussion about things that are easily seen. And what's easily seen in a partnership with Musk and Trump is who's running what, who's getting credit for what, who's doing the PR, who's not. Those things have to be discussed before you even start. And I'm not sure Musk and Trump ever discussed anything. And then they realize, well, wait a minute, I want the credit. No, I want the credit. I want the power. I want the power. I've got the money. No, I've got the money, because Trump, as you know, has made a fortune since he became president. So I think this issue between Musk and Trump is caused by a lack of clarity in what their partnership was from the start. And when that happens, it ends up with a divorce like you're seeing.
Yeah, but it's also weird that the one guy who is sort of in this battle is the guy who is controlling the largest platform where information is spread. Like, that to me is just so mind-blowing that, like, people are on this platform talking about this thing that's happening. He's tweeting these things out. It's just so weird, that all this... I don't like when the dirty is there for us to see. Do
you think about on Instagram who owns Instagram when you're posting on Instagram? Do you think about Zuckerberg? But do you think about Musk when you're tweeting?
Yeah. I think.
I do not.
Well, I think it is because, like, if you start a new account, it's just littered with his tweets. So it's like he is making it known that this is his platform. Because we just started the Nothing Personal Clips channel, NPDS Clips. Please go follow it. Promoting dirty plug right there. And when I started that account, like, it's just filled with things that you don't want to see. Like, that I wouldn't want to see if I'm, like, starting a sports Twitter account. But back to what you were saying about just the power. It's just like, what do you think about this bill that he was like, this is where I draw the line. Like, this is where I will sort of blow up this relationship for everybody to see.
Musk finally realized that what Trump was actually doing as part of that big, beautiful bill would have a deleterious impact on Musk's share prices of the companies he owns and his ability to function doing what he wants to do, which is to be a world conqueror. And so that's the example exactly that I'm making, is that they never discussed, when they formed this bond and this partnership, they never discussed any sort of parameters of what would happen and what wouldn't, because you can bet your dollars to donuts that Musk went into the office and said, dude, did you look at this bill? Do you see how bad this bill will be for me? You promised me I wouldn't get screwed like that. And Trump must have looked at him and said, hey, too much credit, too much power, people liking you too much. This is going to get me a win with the American people, because Trump would sell out anybody to get a win, which all politicians would. I would imagine that's how the feud started, as all feuds do, money.
Well, David, I appreciate getting this platform and this being our first Friday. It started off a little rough. I'm going to be honest. Like, my heart was pumping out of my chest. My hands were really sweaty. I didn't think that I would be able to give 50 minutes of talking. We'll see after this is over if people are interested in what I have to say. But I tried to change it up at the end to sort of be like, hey, we can talk about some serious things. Matt isn't just sports meathead talker. Matt is big brain.
Are you going to take us home for the week? Are you going to take us home?
No, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm actually just going to say thank you. I appreciate chat for being respectful while I was gone. They didn't turn into a bunch of heathens, so I appreciate that. And until next time.
Hey, it's been one heck of a week. Thank you all for joining us 2 hours every day. That's 10 hours that we have taken of your time and you've given to us. It's just business. We'll be back Monday, 7 a.m. live. Let's be careful out there. This is nothing personal.